an F1 car on the public road, haven't we? What it would feel like on your favourite B road or booting it onto the motorway. But now, there's something that directly transfers the experience of an F1 car to the road. And it's just extraordinary. We're not just talking about any Formula One car either. This is Lewis Hamilton's Formula One car that's been handing it to the competition in various iterations for the last 5 years. It's the car formerly known as the AMG Project One, now just the AMG One, and it's yours if you can find around £2.5 million down the back of your sofa. Oh, and you got to convince one of the 275 buyers to give you their build slot. Prototypes of this thing are already running around, but first customers won't get their cars until mid-2020. Understandably, there's been a slight delay getting a Formula One powertrain to behave in a road car, but nobody has had access to this car quite like this, in a studio. This is our chance to pore over every detail of this mad, mad project. And where else to begin but with the engine? Under there is the actual 1.6 litre V6 turbo lifted directly from Lewis's 2015 F1 car, driving the rear wheels. It will spin to an ear-splitting 11,000 RPM, down from the 14,000 RPM it hits in F1, but then this thing has to idle at 1,200 RPM, not 4,000, and be capable of doing the school run, not just setting lap times. Think of it like retraining Usain Bolt to win the 10,000 metres. AMG says throttle response is better than a naturally aspirated V8 because there's an electric motor to spin the turbo up instantly, and when it's not doing that, it harvests any extra energy created by the turbo and feeds it back into the system. Like F1 then, this car is all about recuperating and reusing every drop of energy. But the engine is just the beginning. There's also 3 Formula One electric motors spinning up to 50,000 RPM each and producing 160 horsepower apiece. One of them operates on the crankshaft, the other 2 are on the front axle, spinning a wheel each for precise torque vectoring. And then the lithium-ion battery pack sits behind the seats. Total power output, at least 1,050 horsepower, we're told, but this thing can also run in a pure EV mode, at which point it can do 15 miles in total silence and front-wheel drive. Needless to say, it will be stupidly fast. 217 miles per hour flat out, 0 to 62 in around 2.7 seconds, and 0 to 124 miles an hour in under 6. And it's that second number that has our attention. That's 1.2 seconds faster than a Porsche 918 Spider and half a second quicker than the Bugatti Chiron. But lap times is where this thing should annihilate the competition. There will be a Nürburgring time at some point. It's a brave man that takes that one on. But interestingly, the boss of AMG, who I just had a coffee with, says around a shorter track, this versus a full-blown F1 car will be a lot closer than we think. Clearly, that's a race we demand to see. The one hasn't so much been styled as shaped by the wind. Where it's not serving an aero purpose, the body is smooth and slippery. The 10-spoke wheels, available in aluminium or magnesium, have carbon inserts to minimise drag. Even the badge will be airbrushed on to save weight and reduce resistance. The aero is active too, so down here you've got these huge intakes at the front end with movable flaps depending on whether you want minimum drag or maximum cooling. Up here we've got these vents, these flaps in the front wheel arch which stand to attention in maximum attack mode, just like that, and increase downforce over the front axle. Moving along, we have the engine intake sitting up here on the roof, but it's no longer flush with the bodywork. There's actually a channel that runs underneath it. That means you get the cleanest, least turbulent air running into there and into your F1 engine back here. Either side of it, 2 Nacker ducts that funnel air into the oil coolers, and then we get to the fin, the central spine. Not only a defining characteristic of this car, but it also improves stability at high speeds and in the corners and cleaves the air. So when it arrives at this wing, it's nice and clean and the wing can work efficiently. And what about this wing? Full width, electrically deployable. It has a wing within a wing. How cool is that? Here in its maximum downforce mode. And down there, the mother of all diffusers. Now there is no figure for downforce on this car yet, only that it will produce more downforce than a GT3 race car. Any more than that, and the pressure on the tyres would be just too intense. The first thing you notice when you climb in is the driving position is nowhere near as extreme as the Aston Martin Valkyrie. Yep, I've sat in that one too with my feet somewhere up around my ears. Here, your feet are in line with your hip point, which feels entirely natural. The seats are fixed to the carbon tub too, so you move the wheel and pedals instead, just like the Ford GT. I have to say it does feel suitably special in here and quite comfortable as well. So what have we got? We've got two 10-inch screens in front of us, some vents here for the aircon, and an F1 shaped steering wheel with pretty much all the controls you need right in front of you. One of those is a dial down here that selects your driving mode, and that's what we're going to focus on, because you will have a pure EV mode. Then you will have a range extender mode. That's when the engine is just switched on to charge the batteries. After that, a do it all general hybrid mode, and after that, a maximum attack mode, which you can set to maintain the battery charge you already have or deplete everything for that one ballsy hot lap. The stability control, it does have an interim sport setting if you like, but it can be entirely switched off. Even so, I'm told this thing isn't set up for big smoky drifts. I think I know a couple of people who might disagree with that. Up here you have your rear view mirror, which is fed from a camera at the base of the rear fin. Down here you have somewhere to put your smartphone, and that's about it, to be honest. But come on, when you've got over 1,000 horsepower, what more could you possibly need? I just can't sign off without talking about the Aston Martin Valkyrie. For every great champion to produce their best, they need an arch rival, and the Valkyrie is just that. Both these cars are born from F1. This, a slightly more literal translation, the Valkyrie, a freak from the mind of an F1 great. But however they've got there, what we've ended up with is two cars with over 1,000 horsepower. They're aero obsessed, weight obsessed, and both are designed to eviscerate racetracks. So, just like the P1, the 918 and the LaFerrari defined their eras, well, this incredible machine and the Valkyrie are about to do the same again, albeit by taking us to an even more extreme place. Tell you what, it's quite a time to be alive.